to get you caught up to speed. Last night, while cooking up a pot of puns in a poker room, an elite group of wild turkey enthusiasts fought and toiled and burned the midnight oil to deliver the best segment in all of sports. It's an honor and a privilege. It's a special Thanksgiving edition of Nick's Tears.
All right, so I hate to air the committee's business.
Oh, no.
But very contentious, and you hate for it during the holidays, committee meeting last night. Because there was a vocal, I can't even call it minority, strong contingent of the committee that felt it was our obligation as sports media members or sports media adjacent members to work a Thanksgiving food rankings into the tiers.
Puns?
Not
so
puns.
against that yesterday.
Exactly right, Brew. Not puns, but like, hey, America's most trusted football ranking source should also do the thing everyone's doing this week.
Like morning radios?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, no.
Like, Mike and the Jackal on KRXM. Yeah. I was adamantly against it and was overruled.
All right, well, let's see what we got.
I'm excited.
So first, let's just get to it. First, the eliminations. There are no new eliminations. The Cowboys were the latest elimination a couple weeks ago. Now, we were going to have the bottom of the tiers this week, don't really yet, be, facing elimination. But again, instead, these teams are ranked according to Thanksgiving dishes.
Oh, here we go.
So bottom row, the Yams, the Bears. Just judge me on my best and I'm excellent. What a delicious bite. But if you really dig into it, it's not as, doesn't have great lasting quality. Can't make a whole meal out of it. The Bears.
No staying power.
Next row, casseroles. A lot of hype and expectation, and with a few of these teams, kind of a nostalgia for a time past.
Yes.
Like, I think I like that, and then you're like, no. Ultimately, pretty underwhelming. Next row of teams, your mashed potatoes. Unspectacular but steady. No one's Super Bowl winner, but going to be involved in everyone's day, and by the way, going to be involved in the playoff scene. At least one, maybe two of these, maybe even three of these teams could be playoff teams again. Nothing to write home about, but it wouldn't be complete without them. Next, fancy cranberry sauce. Supposed to be great. You feel sophisticated and smart by saying you love them. I'm not pointing anybody out. But ultimately, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
Next row, canned cranberry sauce.
Oh.
It's what you actually want. Old school. Coaching, defense, the ridges on the can when you bite into it. Maybe you don't feel that sophisticated. Maybe you feel like, should I be using a plastic fork? It doesn't matter. It actually gets the job done. And they run the ball. They're well coached. Actually good, as opposed to fake good. Next one, hated rivals. Pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie. Listen, rivals, yet kind of mirror images. Coach, the history of, making the playoffs but not actually breaking through in the last decade. Questions if the quarterback's going to come through in the biggest spot. And it tells you a lot about a person by which of these two teams you actually believe in. Just like it tells you a lot about how someone grew up. Are you a pumpkin pie guy or a sweet potato pie guy? You actually learn a lot about them. Next, mac and cheese. Very few, if any, flaws. Gets the job done. High floor, low ceiling. It's gonna definitely be a part of your day. But with respect to Bruce's Super Bowl pick, probably not gonna be the star anywhere. Next year, the ham. Year after year shows up.
Great.
I mean, even when doubted, can turn its most vocal detractors into supporters. How many of your family members are like, I don't eat pork. Let me have a bite of that.
So
It's just true. And it's like, oh, this is the year they're not going to show up. And then all of a sudden, fresh out the oven, the ham. Next one. The stuffing, or dressing as some call it, often called the best. Certainly the highest upside of any part of the meal. Everyone's darling this time of year. But it can really go wrong if the wrong hands, most notably tiny hands, make it. Yeah, I'm just telling you. Like, it can be the best, but it can also be screwed up. Second highest tier, the gravy. a great, great part of the meal. Some say the best. Certainly gets the most hype year over year. Some say it's the most valuable. However, when you really think about it, its identity is actually its proximity to actual greatness. No one's like, I'm going to go have a bowl of gravy, but it makes what is actually great even better, which is, of course, the #1 draft pick, yet constantly doubted and detracted turkey. It's the undisputed GOAT, yet always maligned. Oh, it's too dry. Oh, the wishbone won't crack. Oh, it makes me sleepy. Shut up, it makes the whole thing exist. Much like the Chiefs. That is the committee's Thanksgiving tears, Coach.
Nick,
just excellent.
The committee, I'm glad they overruled you. Good job with
Just great.
That was by far the most entertaining tears that I've been to.
Absolutely.
I was really into it.
I think it's missing crescent rolls. I don't know if that's something, but
roll.
I really enjoy it.
Wow.
You know, I do, yeah, some kind of biscuit or something. I thought that was missing. But I'm going to say you've missed the boat on the top there with the stuffing, the gravy, and the turkey. Detroit is obviously, and should obviously, be the turkey in this hierarchy. And I understand that this is a Kansas City-based tiers, and I understand that because Buffalo beat Kansas City, they have to be where they are, and then you're going to put Detroit in there just because, you know, that's the only spot that they could fall based off of the bias. But let's look at it statistically. Okay, let's just take a look at these three teams statistically and see where they rank. And you can see that Detroit is better than Kansas City and Buffalo in every category, except Kansas City is a little bit better in opponent yards per game. Okay, but that's one element. Detroit's better than all three of those other categories. Okay, and then you're thinking, well, wait a second, they lost their best pass rusher, their best defensive player. They're not going to be able to overcome that. Take a look at what happened before and after Hutchinson, and it's pretty shocking. They're actually giving up 3 less points per game.
That's crazy.
That's significant. Yards per game, pass yards per game, and look at the pressure percentage. So they've figured out a way to compensate.
How'd that happen?
Actually shown
if that was Brock Purdy, we'd say, you know, Hutchinson doesn't deserve a contract.
I know it's amazing, but sometimes when you have a great player and then you've got to compensate, you can get some positive things out of that collectively that maybe you're relying on one guy to do.
They also got a game against Mac Jones.
And Detroit's been doing that.
I mean, that helps.
And then finally, I know Nick will probably say, well, Kansas City and Buffalo have probably played a harder schedule. Well, that's not true either. When you look at strength of victory this season, the Lions have the best strengths of victory of all three of those teams. So in any objective criteria,
455 to 450.
Detroit is obviously the top of the tiers.
I would remind America that the last time Coach was here for tears, he accused me of artificially inflating the Bills. I think this is back when he still thought the Jets might make a run at that division. I'm not sure. As a way to pump up the Chiefs. As opposed to,
you could be wrong. It's like choosing Chicago to win the Super Bowl.
As opposed to correctly identifying the Bills. He also said that the committee is based in Kansas City, which, while accurate, is misleading. But you said biased and based. The committee is based in Kansas City because the committee moves every year and spends its year in the home of the Super Bowl champion. That just happens to always be Kansas City. It's how you get a real feel for the league. Listen, I think the Lions are excellent. I think that those 4 teams that are on their own tiers right now, to me, are clearly the 4 best teams in the league. And I think you can make an argument for you probably can't make an argument right now for Philadelphia being the best, but for certainly any of the other 3, you can make an argument for them being the best. And I get that right now the Lions are the hot team and the team du jour.
This isn't some emotional reaction. I just gave you objective criteria. There's no emotion.
No, I get.
It's what's happened.
I understand that. Okay. I'm not saying that. Again, I think you can make an argument they're the best team in the league. I think that if they do make the Super Bowl and they're playing either of the 2 teams above them, I think either of those teams would be a significant favorite against Detroit.
Coach, call me crazy. I think games matter. I mean, we have teams play each other to find out who's better. Okay, and I get it. I get it. There are dumb losses. Nick calls them dumb ones. The Chiefs will have a dumb loss.
Yeah.
I get that. We'll throw those out. Raiders beating the Ravens. Dumb loss. We'll throw that out.
Okay.
Even close losses, 2 points, 3 points, heck, 7 or even 10, where a break here or there and the outcome is different.
Sure.
But 25 points? 25 points is hard to unsee. I can't unsee the fact that the Ravens took the Bills
you're doing
to
this
the
again?
woodshed. Yes,
You
I'm
do
doing
this
it again.
every week.
The Ravens,
He does it
because
every
it's
week.
a travesty. It says there right on the screen that the Bills are ahead of the Ravens. Not only did they smash them one-on-one, head-to-head, they have the better quarterback. Yes, I'm taking Lamar over Josh Allen.
disagree.
They have the best running back, obviously, of the two teams. Buffalo, Coach did the strength of victory. They're 2-2 against teams that would be in the playoffs now. The Ravens are 4-2 against teams
What are
that
the
would be in
Ravens
the
against
playoffs.
teams that wouldn't be in the playoffs right now?
I don't know, but that's
I-
4-2
they're-
against teams that would be in the
they're
playoffs.
also 4-2.
That's what I measured about when you played against, because you can have a dumb one, and they've had a couple dumb ones, all right? But when they had to play the Bills head-to-head, they smashed them. And the defense, which has been the biggest concern about the Ravens, is starting to find its footing. They faced 2 playoff teams the last 2 weeks, held them to 20 points a game, giving up 2 touchdowns, Coach, in the last 2 weeks. The Ravens
lost
defense
one
is
of
starting to
those
come
games.
along. They should be ahead
okay,
of the Bills. I
all
thought
right.
it wasn't the standing.
It's not the standing.
I thought it wasn't
No,
the standing.
I didn't know.
Because that's the
Hold on.
only argument you got.
No,
Because they smashed
it's not.
them when they
It's
play
not. It's not the
head-to-head.
only argument I've got. But you're using the last 2 weeks as evidence that this team is surging when
Well,
they
the
lost
defense
one of
has
those
gotten
games.
better.
So let me ask you this: if the Ravens lose this week to Philly and Buffalo,
Which you don't think they will,
I
but you
understand.
have
No,
Philly
I'm
ahead of
asking. I'm asking you a question.
I don't
If they
think
lose this week to
here.
Philly, and Buffalo wins, at that point, and Buffalo is 10-2, and Baltimore is 8-5. At that point, would you be okay with Buffalo being ahead of Baltimore?
No.
Okay, well then.
Because if I want the records, the
No,
standings, I can
no,
go
but
pick
so-
up
so
what
there-
was
5
the
games.
USA
No,
Today.
no, but
I can
there's-
go pick up
no,
the USA Today.
No, so it's some
5 losses, you can
so
still
then
end
it's
up
just
12
head
and
to head.
5.
Then it's just head to head.
No.
So let's
It's
put the
other
Raiders
stuff
up
too.
there. No,
the Bills will beat an injury-depleted Niners team, and the Ravens could lose to one of the teams that might be the best team in the league.
Bro,
Just because the Bills
Here's
beat
the other-
Kansas City,
No, it's not
which
because they
they've
beat
done in the
Kansas City.
past, who else have they beaten? That's because they lost to Houston, a Houston team that's struggling. They got smashed by a Baltimore team that to you is kind of struggling.
Yeah, I thought they played. Yes,
What makes the Bills so
The Bills
good?
were not the same team before they got Amari Cooper. They did play poorly against Baltimore, but there is also a flaw in your logic of teams. Listen, teams have a dumb one, and you kept saying a dumb one, and then explained how Baltimore
Cleveland,
has.
that's a division game. That's a tough game.
That's not a tough game.
It is a tough game.
Okay, it is. Is Cleveland one of the worst teams in football?
No.
No.
I mean, depending on how low you go, they're not Carolina.
They're
not the Raiders.
Hold on. They have the same amount of wins as Carolina.
Man.
What do you mean? You just said they're not the Raiders. What is the Ravens?
They got a good defense.
Right, which the Ravens don't. And you are arguing for
these
them
last 2 weeks,
Okay.
I'm starting to think.
All right, at this point,
Rounding into
at
form.
this point, the
I guess
Ravens,
we can
the
start
Ravens-
calling it the standing.
No, because it's not.
Because that's the only argument you have.
No, this deep into the year, record does matter to a degree.
What
certainly.
games have the Bills looked great in?
They looked great against Kansas City 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
the
outside of
same
that.
week that the Ravens lost to Russell Wilson and the Steelers.
Steelers are a good team.
Okay, right, which is why they're on right next
The
to another
Bills
good
beat the Chiefs. That's why they're number 2.
No, is that
That's it.
okay?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's 10-1.
Yeah, right. But they
Kansas
haven't
City's
beaten the
10-1.
Chiefs.
They
Right.
Okay, you guys, if we're gonna, the fact that you feel that even if the Ravens fall to 8-5, they are definitively better than Buffalo because they beat Buffalo in
By
week
25
5.
points.
Yeah, that happened a month and a half ago.
This was a game both teams took seriously. Both teams had circled on the schedule when they saw the schedule
Right.
come out, and they smashed them.
So so Tampa should be ahead of Detroit.
They didn't smash Detroit.
No, they beat Detroit.
They beat Detroit.
They beat, okay.
You can beat, like I said, a close game, relatively close, is different.
Okay. Go ahead, Watts.
Here's the thing about shrimp cocktail. Underrated. It's there. No one really thinks about it. It's not even in your rankings. But I think head-to-head, be careful. Head-to-head, a shrimp cocktail could get you. Shrimp cocktail's not afraid of any team here. It's like, ooh, I want to go up against him. The Dolphins are a shrimp cocktail. And that's not just because they're both marine-based. The offense. Since Tua returned, so you got to throw out the Skylar Thompson game.
Yeah.
Since Tua came back week 8, this offense is starting to cook again. Is Tua playing at his best? Last year he led the league in passing yards, but look how good Tua is playing. I was shocked by this graphic. Best completion percentage, touchdown interception ratio is great, passer rating is great. Yards is third because obviously last year is airing out a little bit more. How about the defense? Defense, pretty good. Again, they're my Super Bowl pick, but the shrimp cocktail of the tiers here, better than you think. And I think once you think about it, like, ooh, I actually really do like that, and no one ever thinks about them. They're kind of on the outside looking in.
So
We
can
didn't really have that growing up at Thanksgiving.
I did.
You got shrimp cocktail at Thanksgiving.
It's like an appetizer he's talking about.
Oh yeah.
Shrimp cocktail is very
Can
good.
I-
You get a Stop and Shop. You just got you get a little halo of it.
Thing is, it's good and cold, too. Good cold.
Not freezing though. Just a little chilly. It's too cold.
Chilled.
Inedible.
Can I make an observation?
Yeah.
You have developed a tendency to take teams beating down the Patriots as evidence that that team must be awesome. And I think it's a blind spot that has
What other teams have I done that? What other teams have I done that
affected some of your commentary.
What other teams?
And there is an auto reaction, positively or negatively, that I think is a little too strong
They're unstoppable.
for whomever the
We're a professional
Patriots
football
play.
team.
I'm just telling you right now. You kind of started after years of not believing in the Jets. The one time you kind of did was after they waxed the Patriots.
That was the entire world. He looked great. Aaron Rodgers looked
I'm
great
just
that
telling-
one game.
I'm just-
That was
You
the
went
entire
overboard
world.
on the Bengals, how bad the Bengals are because they lost to the Patriots. I don't know if that
I'm
fits
just.
Bengals are still not.
Actually, that means the Bengals are even worse.
I'm just telling you, there is a
That's
weird.
fair.
there's
But I'm
a-
really locked into the game.
You are-
I'm not trying to
Can I-
consume 50
this
streams.
is-
I'm just locked into it.
That's
like
kind of the
he's got
other
it.
point that I was trying to get to here, which is after this weekend, we as a show are going to need you to stop single screening the Patriots.
Have to.
It's not just DVR and watch it Tuesday. It's not good for the show.
Can't do that.
Some of Weird and Wonderful is surprising
I didn't
you
put-
because it was in a non-Patriots game.
Watch the Dolphins beat the Packers. You watch. This will be a massive win for Tua.
Okay.
Then who's stopping them? Bills did beat them pretty badly.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.